How we doing, YouTube? Well, I've got a pile of steel here. I'm working on getting it cut up, actually. So what's going on is I've been contracted to build a bed for this 1-ton pickup for a guy. It's going to be a 9-foot by 8-foot flatbed with rub rails and a headache rack. He wants it simple, so we're going to build it simple. Here's the truck sitting outside there, that Chevy quad cab. It is not a cabin chassis, it's a regular pickup, but it did have a tool body on it for the longest time of its life. So he ended up with the truck, so he wants a flatbed on it to use it for some work purposes. But what we've been doing is just cutting some pieces. There's 4 of the parts processed right there. So it's going to be a pretty simple bed, 4-inch channel. It'll have 2-inch by 2.5 angle iron cross members, a stake pockets down the side. So it'll have a 1/4-inch rub rail running down the side as well. The headache rack will be 2-inch by 3-inch by 11 gauge tubing with some 3/16 by 2 flat bar slats in the back of it, for louvers, for a better term, I guess. Oh yeah, shop update. I did yesterday, I went and purchased this HTP Invertig 221 AC/DC machine to replace my Eastwood. So far this thing is awesome. It'll turn a non-welder into a welder. So I will be doing a review on that and show you what it's all about at some point here real soon. But first things first, I got to get this bed project out of the way, and I've got a lot of material to cut up here, and then we'll start framing up the bed, getting it squared up, getting it welded together. I'll bring you along for that as soon as I get to that point. So give me a little bit, let me cut all this material down. I ain't gonna bore you with saw work. It's pretty simple. Measure, cut, same thing over and over again. So let me get a bunch of pieces cut, and we'll bring you back to work on assembly. Be right back. Good evening, YouTube. Just got home from work, had dinner with the family, and getting ready to start putting this bed together. I ended up getting all the pieces cut for the sides. They're all right here. That's for the exterior frame of the flatbed. These are all our cross members. I still got to cope. You see that mark right there? Got to cope every one of them so they sit down flat. So when this gets welded to the rails that are going on the truck, every cross member will be touching the rail so we can weld it down, make the bed really solid. So I'm going to get you set up on a tripod, and we're probably going to get the angle irons coped. We'll probably use the plasma cutter for that, and it'll make it quick. I wish I had an iron worker. That'd really make it quick. But without further ado, let me get you set up on a tripod, and I'll bring you right back. All right, let's get some angle iron coped. Plasma cutter really makes quick work of that. That's the glory of that thing. Your copes don't have to be perfect, as long as when you set them inside of that frame, the bottom of the angle iron's down flush with the bottom of the outside angle iron, or the outside channel frame. There's a little gap in there, it's not a big deal, you're going to weld it anyway. And technically, welding with a gap gives you a little bit stronger of a weld because you're actually getting full penetration. So it's not that big of a deal. Now we'll just go through and hit it with a grinder, clean all those spots up, and I'm gonna grind a bunch of pieces, prepare the frame for welding, and then we'll start fitting it together. I'll bring you back for that. All right, let's start getting this bed laid out here and get it squared up. Which piece of wood here? That's my end piece of the bed. Don't need that quite yet. This is the side. This is the back. And this is the side. Slide stuff out a little bit. I'll keep looking over here from now. All right. Let's get ourselves somewhat straightened out close anyway with the square. It's pretty close. Humped up there. Let's see. I don't really care for that. Might just have to shim it a little bit. Grab a shim to put underneath this side. Yeah, I think that's overdoing it. Yeah, not by much. Fairly close right there. Check our corner to corner real quick. 137 3/8. $37 and a half. Close. I haven't leave that done. That's pretty close. Okay, let me get a welding machine set up, and I'll bring you right back. All right, let's get some stuff tacked up here. All right, those are tacked into place. Now, what I'll probably do is go through and mark my channels and start putting some cross members in here. It's gonna be a lot easier than trying to put them in afterwards. I'll leave the back one out for now so I can get in there and weld, but and it's going in two pieces anyway. Same with the front one, it'll go in two pieces as well. But I need to mark out 12 inches on center so I can start setting all my cross members. And then we can start placing them, tacking them in. I might use the MIG welder to tack those in place, just because I can reach back in there a little better. So, all right, I'll bring you right back. All right, we got it squared up. Now we're going to tack in some more cross members and work our way down the line, get all these tacked in. Then we can start tacking the front pieces onto the bed. Back and forth, back and forth. Just make sure you're keeping your stuff square as you can. Obviously it's a weldment, so we don't need to be splitting hairs or nothing, but you want it close. There's our cross members all tacked into place. I don't know if I said this or not, but this bed's 8 feet wide, 9'2" long. It's 8 foot to the outside of those rails. There'll be an additional set of rub rails on the outside of that. We'll probably build that once it's on the truck, because I can fit this right now between my gantry. Once I put the rub rails on it, it's not going to happen. So, all right, so now we've got a few more pieces here. One goes there. One goes there. we got the final piece. And then we'll check it for squareness. But we should be good. It all fit together pretty nice right there. But we'll just double check it to know that we're within reason. 140 and a quarter. 140 and a quarter, pretty much. It's pretty good. I'll go with it. All right, let's tack those in place. Should be able to still see what I'm doing there. Then we got one more full-length cross member to put in. The other ones are going to go in 2 parts. Right. That part's tacked up. Now, I'm going to measure and fit that other cross member, the last full-length cross member. And I placed these 12 inches on center. It's not really fully necessary, but I want to make sure it's as strong as possible. A lot of companies go 18, even 24 inches on center. I don't like to do that, just because it's kind of cheap. I'm going to have to miter the end of that piece of angle to get it to fit up in there correctly. So I will do that off camera, and I will bring you back as soon as I get ready to move on to the next step. All right, I'll be back. Good evening, YouTube. We're back on this flatbed again. I got all the cross members welded in yesterday. Most of the frames welded up. I still got to weld the underside. We got the rear cross member and the front cross member to put in. Like I said, those are not load bearing. Those are just holding some wood, giving you a place to screw wood. So we're going to put them in 2 pieces so we can get them down inside the frame a lot easier. So we'll just have to cut a couple pieces, get ours to 95.5 for the rear one, coat both ends, set them down in there, weld them together. The front will be a little shorter. It should be, I don't know, 79 inches, 80 inches, something like that. I'll have to actually pull a tape on it and check the measurement there. It'll have a couple angles on each end. So let me wrangle up a couple pieces of this angle iron, and I'll bring you back and show you what I'm doing. All right, got some angle rounded up. So I've got a couple pieces laying here on the back. It's got to drop down in and be coped around this so that the bottom of this is sitting flush with the bottom of the frame. That way, when we set this thing up on the rails for the frame of the truck, we'll have 2 more channels standing upright vertical. Every one of these cross members will get welded down to that frame, and it'll stiffen this bed up like you wouldn't believe. It's pretty wild, actually. So all we got to do is get these cut to length, get them both coped on each end, and we'll set this up to make sure we have about an 1/8 inch gap in between these two, so when we weld it we get full penetration there. And then we'll go underneath and we'll stitch it to the bottom underside of that channel right there on that lip, just to support it. Well, it don't need to be fully welded, we'll just stitch it there. So let me get some pieces cut up, and I will bring you right back. All right, so we need to cut this piece down to 44 3/8. To get to our dimension. We'll let that saw off, and then I'll show you what I did for the coping. All right, here's our piece, 44 3/8. That should get us to our 95.5 with an 1/8 inch gap in between the two. Yeah, 95.5 with an 1/8 inch gap. Now we just got to coat both pieces of these angle iron, and I will bring you right back as soon as I get set up to do that. I'll show you the easiest way to figure out your cope. There's ways to do it. Obviously, you can take measurements of the channel and everything else, but I'll show you a quick way. The way that I do it, I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 different ways, but maybe my way will be easier. So I'll bring you right back. All right, let me show you what I do to get my cope on these bottoms of these angles. So this is 2.5 by 2. On 4-inch channel, if you use 2.5 inch, by the time you put your 1.5 inch treated lumber on top of it, you should be dead level within reason of the top of the frame. So I want the bottom of this to set flush with the bottom of my 4-inch channel frame. So that way, for one, all these cross members can be welded to my channels that are sitting on top of the frame rails. And for two, it gives me the right spacing heights for my boards. So what I do is I just cut me off a little chunk of that channel, and we can lay it right on there, get it flush with the bottom, straight with the side there, and we can just run some mark around there, and you end up with that. We'll take the plasma, we'll whack that out, because it don't have to be perfect. We'll grind her smooth, and we'll weld it in. So we'll go and do the other piece of angle here, the other small side. Line it up flush with the bottom, and we'll just grab our soapstone here and trace that piece right there. And all we gotta do is notch that out. It'll sit perfectly right inside that channel. Let's go ahead and get the Hypertherm 45 XP powered up here, and we will cut that guy and get these things coped.
Like that, that's all there is to it. We'll grind them up, and we should be good to go.
All right, our parts are cleaned up. I'm going to get these over here to the bed and get you guys set up, and I'll show you how I go about getting it in that frame and keeping everything flat with the bottom. I'll bring you right back. All right, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to make sure this thing lines up flat with the bottom. First things first, I know that one of my pieces is 44 and 3/8. We had to cut that one to length, so we're going to stick with that. So I'm going to come in here and draw me a line roughly at 44 and 3/8, just so I kind of know where that seam's going to be. Then I can take an F clamp and a little piece of flat bar, and we can clamp that right up underneath there, the bottom of that frame, centered in that mark we just made. Now we can do the same thing with these other two. We can put them in there as well, over here in the corners somewhere, just to make sure that we're keeping that nice and straight with the rest of these, so when the wood goes on, it's nice and flat. Just like that. So now when we put our pieces in there, they should have a place to sit. They should sit right down inside there and go even right with the bottom of the frame. Yep, just like that. So now we'll get us a welder set up and get us a square, make sure these things are nice and true, and we'll get these tacked into position, and then we'll weld them up. We'll bring you right back as soon as I get a welder drug over this way and start tacking together. All right, let's get this tacked into place. Get one side in, then we'll get the other side tacked in. I should hold it there for now. I'm just using this piece of angle right here just to kind of help square everything up. As I set it into place there. I left that gap in there because I'm not going to be able to get to the back side of that to weld those two pieces together, so I can weld all the way through in one shot. It just makes the most sense. Okay, there's that cross member placed. I still got to go through and stitch the underside of that, but we'll do that when we're going through and doing the rest of the undersides. So, all right, I'll bring you back when I get to the next step. All right, good morning, YouTube. I got the bed frame welded together. Obviously, it still needs a headache rack and everything else, but the main frame of it's done. So now we got the truck pulled in here. Now we got to put rails on the top of the frame to set the bed onto to weld the bed down. So what we'll do is we'll cut some 4-inch channel, stand up right against this frame right here. I'll make it even with the outside of this frame beam here. As you can see on this frame, it swells out just in front of the tire. It steps over about, I don't know, inch and a quarter. But we'll just let it follow this path all the way forward, because it'll still be resting on that frame until it gets up there and the frame dupes down. But then we can put a tab on it and catch that front mount right there. So we'll probably catch that front mount. We'll catch probably this hole right here, and we might drill another hole in the side of this channel to put it all together, I guess. So my bed is 9 foot 1 3/4, 9 foot 2. I need to cut 2 pieces of 4-inch channel the right length. I'm going to need some spacer blocks just to get it up off the frame so we're not steel to steel. And once we get that done, we can make some little tabs that'll come down and catch these bolt holes. And we'll weld that all together, and then it's set the bed on the truck, weld it to the beams, and then we can start building the headache rack following up around the cab there. So I will bring you back as soon as I get some channel cut, and we'll continue this process. All right, now we got the rails cut and some mounts made. We got to build the front mounts still right here. I got these 2 plates cut, and then I got to get some gussets in there to retain said and keep the pressure off everything. So I'm going to get these welded on, and we'll go from there. See if I can get you in there where you can kind of see what's going on, at least a little bit. And get my hood and get everything fired up here. And we'll get some pieces tacked into place. This piece of channel's twisted. We're gonna have to tack this in place and then twist that down. Definitely twisted. Let me grab a crescent wrench or something where I can get a hold of that. See if we can't twist that back. Yeah, definitely twisted. See if that one little tack can hang on there. Bumped you guys around there. Let's move you over here so I can get in there. There we go. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side, and then I'll bring you guys right back. All right, those are welded on. Now I got a couple holes I gotta drill in the back mounts to get them bolted down solid. Then we'll tighten everything up. We'll finish welding these couple of mounts here. We got them welded on the sides. We gotta weld the top sides of all of them. And then, once that's done, we can back this thing out of here, get the bed from over there into this bay and back the truck underneath of it. Then we can weld the bed down to these two rails. So let me wrangle up a drill and some drill bits, and we'll commence in punching a couple holes in the back section of this frame, and we will get everything in place. I'll be right back. All right, let's get this truck backed in here and get this bed set on top of it. What's up, bud? Yep. Camera's right there by your head. Set this down on the truck. Oh, Lord. Long way down. Oops. What? A guy named Caleb owns it. Oh. Yep, we're gonna push it over there. Nope, watch where you're going. You're pushing it the wrong way. It's gotta go that way. There we go. All right, stay right there, buddy, don't move. I'm gonna back this truck up in here. We made it in, huh? Got to scoot forward some more. Woo, that's loud. Really loud. Now I just got to get it squared up to the truck. All right. It is sitting on the truck. Now I just have to get it squared up to the truck and we can start welding all these cross members down. And should be good to go. I'll bring you back. All right, guys, update on the flatbed here. I've been working on it pretty much all day. I do have some stuff done. So last part you guys seen, I was putting the bed onto the truck. So now it's currently welded down to the frame, all the way across there to the bed frame, I guess I should say. And I've got these 6 stick pockets in, and this rub rail's tacked on. So just to keep this video a little shorter than my hour-long videos, I'm going to go ahead and end this one here, and then there'll be a part 2 coming out as well on the finished part of this bed. So thank you for sticking around. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, give me a like, follow, all that stuff. I really do appreciate it. During this build, we got up to 100 subscribers. That's a milestone for me, and I hope it keeps on growing from here. Please, please, please subscribe and follow along on some of these builds that I'm doing. The power wagon frame is sandblasted now, so as soon as this flatbed's out of here, we'll be able to move the power wagon frame back in and start the repair work on that. So stick around for that one. And like always, I really do appreciate it. And we will catch you guys on the next one.